Alright, welcome. If you're new to the channel, my name's Elliott and you're watching Rickety Ski Reviews. Today, we're going to be talking about how to wax your skis. I have worked in 3 or 4 different ski shops all through high school and college, and I've waxed a lot of skis, I've tuned a lot of skis, I've mounted some skis. God help me, I don't remember how to do that. But I've worked on a lot of skis. A lot of the grunt work tends to be waxing and tuning just because it's not very complicated. I also, while I ski raced, waxed and tuned my own skis. I don't do it a ton now. I don't know, it just doesn't interest me that much and I don't have to have my edges that sharp out west, so it's not a big deal, but I do know how to do it. And I know how to do it well because waxing is really important, especially back east, the tuning is really important. I just did a really quick YouTube search on how to wax your skis, and we're gonna go off of skis.com, how to wax your skis. I may make my own tutorial later in the year. It just depends on how ambitious I get. I don't have any of the gear anymore. I moved from Idaho to Vermont and then Vermont back to Idaho. So in one of those traverses, I lost my tuning gear, which is really tragic, but I don't know. It was like either that or the crib. And you know, I had a baby at the time, so the crib won. But let's see what skis.com has to say. I've never reacted to their stuff, but who knows? Go into it with an open mind.
Hi, I'm Adam from skis.com, and today we're going to talk about how to wax your skis at home. Waxing your skis is the single easiest way to keep them performing their best. A ski that doesn't...
Alright, already he's got 3 brushes on the table. Those are a good 3 brushes. You have the Swix brush. I can just recognize them from the red handles. I used to have 2 of these brushes, but the one on the far right there is the most important one. That brass brush with the hair around the outside is really important, and it looks like you've got 2 different like fineness of nylon brushes on the other left side. But the brass brush is kind of the one that does a lot of the heavy lifting, and then you get that more fine like sweep with the nylon brushes. But I will say, like, just seeing that brush alone gives me a good signal that this will be a good video. You've got your iron already plugged in, you got to preheat a little bit to have smoothness, and your vice grips. You don't have to have the vice grips. You can kind of do the poor man's vice grips where you just get a big round barrel and you put the bindings inside of that circle. So if you're looking for a cheap way, that's a good way to do it, or you can use some of your own vice grips at home. But it is a lot easier if you just get ski specific vice grips, just they tend to fit a little bit better. The other thing you can do if you live on the East Coast, I would suggest getting the ones with the little clamps on the inside so you can put the ski on its side, because it's a lot easier to tune that way.
Stick to the snow, just glides faster, easier, more efficiently, and it's also less fatiguing for you to ski. Let's go over a few of the supplies you're going to need. First off, you're going to need a vise, a ski wax specific iron that allows you to adjust the temperature, an assortment of brushes, wax, and a rubber band. The first thing you're going to want to...
Okay, yeah, it is good for your skis because it helps them glide a little bit smoother. It also helps though with the health of the base. The bases can get dried out. They're kind of like skin. They have little pores in them. And if they get dried out over time, it just kind of wears away on the ski. It depends on where you are, and you can see signs of dryness on them. But yeah, you also need an assortment of brushes. You could just do one of those brushes and then let the snow kind of take off the rest. It's not a big deal. I mean, if you want to do it perfectly, sure. But if you just bought one brush, I'd buy the one on the far right and then work from there, or buy like a nice horsehair brush. Yeah, it also is nice too, if you can get more speed through sections, you can kind of set up your line a little bit better. But it's not that big of a deal. Like, you could wax your skis a few times a year and still be okay.
Do is rubber band your brake. And it's real easy if you just kind of slide that ski on your knee, collapse the brake down, and slide that rubber.
Come on, just set it on the vice grips. Set it on your knee and rubber band it down. Come on, what? You don't need to do that. Just set it down on the table you have there. Well, that's a really good way to get your hands cut. Come on, already, God.
Band over the heel piece over both of the brakes. Then you can go ahead and set it in your vise and tighten up that vise ever so slightly. Then you want to start with your...
Okay, you want to be careful, right? You see how he had that? He has it on the binding. If you clamp it down too much and it's on one of the thinner pieces of plastic, you can actually snap it. So be careful. Typically underneath the toe piece is a good spot, or just find like a healthy piece of plastic mounted on that plate. Depending on the ski too, if you have like a race binding, you have that metal plate underneath, that's typically a really good place to grab onto.
Brass brush. Your brass brush is your stiffest and coarsest brush, and what that's going to do is just going to remove any of the excess wax or dirt that's already in your skis. And just a couple of good swipes, always working from tip to tail.
Okay, that's a good tip, but you don't need to do it that much. They're not that dirty. Just give it one clean swipe. Also, if you want like a pro tip, when you brush, come back slightly. If you think about a pour like this, if you come one way and the bristle goes like this, you get a little bit of chunk of like material, dirt, wax, whatever on this side. If you go like this and come back just a little bit, not a lot, it'll kind of clean those pores out better. Yeah, it's fine. You can do that. I mean, yeah, it's good to brush it out one time.
And now it's time to apply the wax. Setting your iron temperature is important on the wax, and most Swix irons and most ski-specific irons have an adjustable temperature. And you want to check on the box or the packaging of your wax to make sure that you are burning at the correct temperature. If you're burning it too hot, it's going to burn off all the good chemicals that you want going into the ski. If you burn it too low, it's not going to absorb all those good chemicals. So again, start from tip to tail, and then gently just apply one strip in like a zigzag fashion, moving down the ski. If you're new at this, you're probably going to use too much wax. The more you do it, the less wax you'll use.
Okay, first off, while we're talking about chemicals, make sure it's ventilated. Especially the high fluoro wax is super bad for you. You don't want to be breathing this stuff in. If you watch like the pro guys, they actually wear masks. I wouldn't mind wearing a mask. This stuff is not good to be breathing in, especially high fluoro. You'll see high fluoro wax. It's kind of an old thing. I don't know if they've changed what it's made out of, but yeah, don't just like, oh, we're burning off all the good chemicals and breathing them in. Like, no, make sure your shop is well ventilated. Make sure, maybe even wear a mask. I think I would err on the side of caution. Also, yes, you want to have the iron at the right temperature, but it's not that do or die. Like typically, you go to like 4 or 5, something like that. Whatever's going to get you a smooth drip. And as you get more experience, you'll kind of get a feel for what's too hot, right? If it's just like dripping really rapidly and splashing everywhere, turn it down a little bit and give it a nice slow drip. But yeah, make sure it's ventilated. You don't need to be breathing this stuff in. Maybe I'm paranoid, but when I work on cars, I wear nylon gloves or whatever those, I forget what they're, nitro gloves, whatever. I wear like mechanic gloves when I work on my car because a lot of those chemicals you don't want to get into your bloodstream. A lot of mechanics have died over time. And maybe I'm paranoid, but I would wear gloves while holding that wax, especially while it's warm. You do not want to leach in whatever that gnarly high fluoro chemical is that gives people cancer. So just my 2 cents, but that's how I would play it.
The more wax you apply on the ski, the more you're going to have to scrape. So once you have a single bead of wax going down the ski, go ahead and take that iron and just slowly move it all the way across the ski. You want to keep the iron moving.
Okay. First off, like, oh, the more wax you put on, the more you're gonna have to scrape. But like, eventually it all comes off when you ski it off anyway. So it's not that do or die. Also, how is that guy holding his iron? Why is he holding it sideways like that? Run it down and work your way. And like, you can kind of oscillate it a little bit just when you're trying to do an initial spread with the wax. This guy looks a little clunky. Okay, well, let's give him a chance.
So the wax spreads evenly all the way out to the edges. If you keep the iron in one position, it's going to start to get too hot, and then you have.
Oh, God! That is the worst ironing technique I have ever seen. Holy crap. You want to move in one direction from tip to tail because that is the flow that the snow goes. You don't go back and forth. You're not ironing a t-shirt. My God, come on. Okay, you go tip to tail and you can kind of do small, like little movements side to side just because you're trying to spread that wax out side to side. But you don't want to like go back and forth with it. You're not ironing a shirt for the mayor here, okay? You're trying to get that wax flowing in one direction. So move like kind of down. If you have enough wax, you could really just go, but keep it tip to tail. If you need to go a little bit side to side just to get it, edge to edge, that's fine. But move tip to tail. Don't go back and forth like this. And he is moving very slow. Keep it moving. Ugh. I know he's gonna do that later, but even for the initial, that's kind of brutal.
To worry about it warping or burning your base. So just gently, slowly, keep moving that wax.
Oh God, he did do some tracks. And look how many clumps are on the side of the iron. You're holding the iron the wrong way. You're holding it sideways. Oh God, this is awful. Okay, you want another tip too? If you don't want to use too much wax, take the bar of wax after you've dripped a little bit and run it along the ski. That way you can kind of like apply it like a stick of deodorant, right? If you're really worried about not using too much. But that's a good way. Drip, what I do is like drip, 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 scrape, and then you can use it like a crayon to cover any area that may be missed on the drops. Go drip, 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 scrape, scrape. Rather than like clumping it all on like that and going sideways, I mean, this is just a mess. This is like watching a kindergartner play. Come on, man. Okay. I'm getting hung up on an easy part. This is like the easiest part of the whole thing.
All the way down, all the way into the ski. Now that the wax is...
He had a dry spot there, then he had a big clump on the side. You want to even it out. You don't want one dry spot and one clump spot because then you're going to dry out the base. Has this guy ever waxed skis before? Oh my God, this looks awful. I would not let this guy touch my skis. And I don't even use, and I put my skis in REI. I let the high schoolers at REI do it. What a bunch of baloney. God, that's not good technique. I'll make my own video. I'll do it myself, okay? I'll make a video for you guys so you can see a good waxing video. I can't believe, what does this guy have? 42,000 views and it's not even, okay, I'll make a good video for you, okay? I'm not even that good of a tuner or waxer, but I know the basics.
The room temperature, it's time to start scraping. Again, always work from tip to tail and just go ahead and take your plastic.
Wait, what? You're gonna leave that on there? No, you didn't iron it again. You do an initial to get all the wax on, and then you run it very smoothly. And you want a trail. You can tell if you're going too fast or too slow, or too hot or too cold based on the length of the trail. You want a tail following your iron by about 4 inches approximately of when it's wet to cool. So you'll see kind of a tail of it cooling down behind the iron. You gotta do that tip to tail to make sure you smooth it out one more time. Otherwise, the scraping is gonna be uneven. It's gonna be a ton of extra work. You're gonna have dry spots like that guy. Run it one more time with the iron facing the right way, laterally like this, down the ski. He didn't even run it once that way? There's a reason too, because see the little drip thing behind it? There's a reason he had those big clumps of wax, because he's doing it on the side. It's building up on the side. That's what that little slant at the bottom of the iron is for. Oh my God. It's like showing someone how to mow the lawn and you get out a weed whacker. You didn't even use the tool right. Oh God. God, what? What is this?
Scraper?
Instantly no. Instantly no. Look how he's holding that scraper. You don't do it in that way. You do it the other way. You do it. Okay, he has an obtuse angle scraping the wax. He needs an acute angle. So he needs literally, it's the same angle. Like he's got 30 degrees the other way when you pull it like that. Also, don't pull it, push it. Start at the tip and work this way. And you have your scraper kind of slanted like this, okay? Slanted in towards me and push it away. That way you can kind of sweep it off. You gotta be joking me. Okay, so I instantly know this guy has no idea what he's talking about. What a brutal video. I didn't even go searching for it this time. Somehow this stuff just seems to find me. God, okay.
And a lot of people are pullers, some people are pushers. I've always found that pulling works better for me. And just kind of take that scraper.
Oh God. Oh God, look at it. It's not even smooth or even. You would save so much work and evenness if you just ran it one more time. Look how awful that looks. It looks like a giant scab coming off. This is the worst waxing I've ever seen. I've seen people in Vermont, like kids, use cardboard or whatever, or like wood in a wood shop, and it still looked better than this. This is embarrassing. Who posted this? Who who watched this after in the editing room was like, yeah, this looks good. That's a good wax ski. All those brushes, you have hundreds of dollars of equipment and you don't even seem to know how to use it, and you can't even iron and scrape properly.
Scraper and work all that wax all the way off the ski. Now that all the wax...
Oh my God, you see how he did it too? Where he's leaning to the left and leaning to the right because they were in those big chunks that he didn't iron out? Also, if you want a flat base, you have to have the scraper flat. Dude, you need a roto brush just to get this stuff off. You're gonna have such big chunks, you're not starting with a nylon. Put the nylon back. Why is that on your hand? You should have the brass brush. That's what you start with. You work in coarseness. Oh my God, okay.
This is off, it's time to start brushing. You can never brush a ski too much. As you brush the ski...
Yes, you can. You absolutely can.
Again, always working from tip to tail. You'll see the wax particles start to peel out of the structure. You could start with a little bit coarser or a white nylon brush and then move to a softer brush like the blue nylon brush. So as you go down the ski, you'll start to see that wax, any of those leftover particles just start to come right out of the structure. After a few passes with this brush,
he's not pulling anything off because he's supposed to get with the brass brush. You start with the brass and then you work to nylon.
After a few passes with this brush, you can move on to your softer brush, and that's going to be your final polish and your finishing step. And this is your final polish. So as you're going through here, you'll notice just a little bit more of those wax particles kind of peel right out of the structure. Just a couple of passes until that ski looks nice and shiny. The more you wax your skis, the deeper all of the layers of wax are going to soak into your bases, and the faster that's going to make your ski. It's going to kind of season it and just keep it porous and keep all those pores nice and open so it slides their best. It's always important not to use any base cleaner when you're starting this process, because then it helps start to get rid of all those layers of wax that you've already soaked in and all those different coats that you've added to your base. For more tips and tricks, please come visit us at skis.com.
Am I missing something? What happened to the brass? He had the brass brush out there and he didn't even use it? Did you see the big clumps on either side of the ski? He didn't use the most important brush. He didn't really pull anything off. He still has all that wax in the base. I don't even know what to say about this. This is so wrong. I can't believe someone got this all wrong. It almost looks like a parody of the real thing. I'm not sure what else to say about this. I don't know. This video was kind of on the right track with the order, but it skipped steps. It showed you how to do it wrong with a lot of things, at least the way that I learned it, and it misses a lot of the fundamentals of what makes a good tuning or waxing job on a pair of skis. So I think, I don't know, maybe the best thing to do is just make you guys videos showing you how. I'll try to like acquire the equipment over time. I don't make that much on YouTube, so it might take me a few months, but eventually I will try to make you guys a video, because this is like the basic knowledge. Like, it almost looks like a video if AI wrote it. It has the right steps, but it just does a bunch of things wrong. Like, the iron isn't held the right way, or you skip the most important brush, or you don't put the wax on evenly, or you don't do another pass. There's a lot more to it, and you can make your life a lot easier. So I don't know what to say. But anyway, if you like this kind of content, please consider liking and subscribing. More than anything though, just thanks for watching. I really appreciate it. If you want to join our membership, there's a bunch of perks down below. If you go to community and join, you'll see it on YouTube. But as always, just thanks for taking the time to watch. I really appreciate it. And as always, I'll see you in the next one. See ya.
We take you to the Hotel Martinet in Brooklyn, where Bobby Millett and his orchestra are offering a program of dance music.